challah, Perik Shlishi, Mishnah Aleph. Oichlin arai min ho'isa. One can eat arai, a snack, in a casual way, taken by some to mean less than the size of a beitza, from dough, as long as ad shetisgalgel bachitin. If the flour was wheat, until the stage that one's actually done a very intensive kneading to the flour, which of course now had water with it, until that stage one is allowed to eat arai, less than a kibetza, from this dough. If it was barley, and according to the Yerushalmi, also spelt, oats, rye, the situation would then be v'sitamteim basa'orim, until it's got to the stage where not only have you done some intensive kneading, because in the case of barley, oats, etc., they don't combine and form a one block as they do in the case of chitin. Therefore one would need to knead them and also pack them with one's hands. At that stage, that is the finished item, and at that stage one would not be allowed to eat from this dough at all. However, prior to that stage, although one can actually take challah, once the water has been poured into the flour, the chiyuv to take challah only applies at the final stage of this kneading process, which is extensive kneading in the case of chitin, or extensive kneading plus also this packing with one's hand. At that stage there's a chiyuv to take challah, and therefore one is not permitted to eat from it at all. Gilgala bachitin v'timtama basa'urin, if one did this extensive kneading in the case of wheat, v'timtama basa'urim, or in the case of barley, spelt rye, oats, one did this extensive kneading, this including the packing. At that stage where there's now a chiyuv, an obligation to take challah, ha'oichel mimeno chayav misa, someone who eats from that dough, b'mezid, would be chayav misa b'dei shomayim. However, as we mentioned before, kiven shehi noisenes es hamayim, once she, assuming the lady who's baking here, once she poured the water into the flour, magbas chalosa, she is permitted to take challah at that stage. And for that reason, one cannot eat something which is a sudas keva from it. Although there's no chiyuv, she can at that stage already take challah. Or bilvad, as long as, and here we find there's two different gersos in the Mishnah, uvilvad sheyehei shom chameshes ravoim kemach. If she's poured water into the flour, as long as that mixture, although not needed yet, has the required share of these 5/4 of a kav, or 5 lug of flour, at that stage she can already take challah. The second gersa in the Mishnah is vivad shelo yehei shom chameshes ravoim kemach. Although we mentioned previously that if one takes challah from dough, or before it gets to the stage of dough, where it's just kemach, hamafrish chalosoi kemach eino challah, if one has dough, one has poured water into flour, and there is also some other flour where water has not yet been poured, that other flour would become subordinate to the flour which is mixed with water. So the Mishnah concludes that one can take challah from flour which has been mixed with water, but it will shelo yehei shom chameshes ravoim kemach. If there's a remainder of flour where water has not yet been poured, and it itself has the shear of chameshes revoim, these 5/4 of a cup, the 5 lug of flour, then the remaining flour will not be considered subordinate to the flour which is mixed with water, and therefore when one takes challah, one would not be exempting the remaining flour which one had. However, if it was less than the chameshes revoim of flour, then the challah which was taken would also exempt that flour.